Hey guys, it's Nimbus. I am back today with another video. As always, it is free Palestine, free everybody. We will never be free until we're all free. Okay. I'm going to put up some pictures of what the IOF has recently been doing in Palestine. It's not going to be anything graphic. It's just going to be wild shit that's just like, are you for real? But yeah, I'm going to put that up here. I'm out of words at this point. No moral army would behave in the way that the IOF has. Whether that's from the stuff that's going on today or from any of the other stuff. Regardless of what's going on today, they still lived under apartheid for 75 years. I'm not minimizing the fact that a genocide is going on, but whole ass apartheid led up to this whole thing that the world just didn't do anything to stop in the first place. The entire world was basically torn on whether or not to accept Palestinian statehood and a spot at the UN when they existed. The state of Palestine existed. They had stamps, they had their own government buildings, they had all that stuff. They had the stuff that governments have. They have stuff that real countries and real states have. That's so how do they magically just not, I mean, we know why. But again, we get into the morality of it. There's not a moral way to occupy a territory. There's not a moral way to colonize. There is none. There is no morality in it. And if you have to go and start an apartheid government over people to uphold that level of control, that doesn't really seem like it's a stable way to start a country. How do they plan on like building stuff over top of this at all? But again, how is that moral? How can you look at this and say, oh, that's cool, I can't wait to go to Disneyland in Israel? Didn't you just watch how that went up? Didn't you just watch how the space for that was created? But I would expect nothing more than support from the apartheid state that is the United States in the first place. So there's that. And I don't want to hear anybody complaining about how that's not true and how that's not how this country works. Because if you look at people of color at all, gay people, trans people, list goes on and on and on. But look at the plight of black women specifically, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Black people in general for sure, but black women specifically, look at what's happened to them historically and tell me that this is not an apartheid state. Of course we would be complicit in a whole genocide taking place in a settler colony. Of course. Speak up and speak out. It's time to keep talking about this. We cannot be quiet about this. At this point, there is no reason to not know what's going on or to be confused, or to say that you don't know enough to pick a side, or to still be saying that it's complicated even. It's not complicated. It's a genocide taking place. And in Sudan, it's a genocide taking place. It's collective punishment. It's ethnic cleansing. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's slavery. In 2024, it's slavery. And so many things that I'm hearing is everybody saying, oh, but I can't think about this anymore. It's been so much. It's just, how do you think they feel? You get to turn it off and go lay down in your bed whenever you want. Unless you're at work, and then you get to bitch and complain about how, oh my God, I'm at work. At least you're getting paid. At least you can go to the store and find groceries. But Karen, I'd love to hear more about how you wish your life was oh so much easier, and that you just wish, because you're the one who made it happen this way. But we don't want to talk about that, because then I'm the rude one who's calling you out, because you don't know how your votes have affected this, and you don't know how the things that you've told other people affect this. That's none of my business, though. White people need to start making their families uncomfortable. White people need to start talking louder about all of this to their friends at work, or coworkers, to the people that they hang out with, to gym bros, to everybody. We have to keep talking about this. Yes, it's a sore subject. It's difficult to talk about. Fine. We're going at it like business as usual, while people, human beings, children, pregnant women, are being carpet bombed. But yet, we can't be bothered with that. It's our own government helping with this, but we can't be bothered with it. We don't have free health care, but we can supply the bombs for another country. This country wants to shut down every 6 months because they can't decide on a budget, but we got all the budget for genocide. Make it make sense. Do your own research on what is going on. Do not let them spin the stories and change them and whitewash them. Don't let them. We see what is happening. Don't let them change what the history books say, because, of course, we know what's going to happen. They're going to say, oh, we tried to stop it. Oh, we were doing the best that we could. We know what's going to happen. We have a moral duty to stand up and say something and do something about it. It really is time to start, making communities. It's time to start making community connections. It's time to start, doing some other stuff to help yourself and to help the people around you. Anyway, with that being said, as always, like I said, do your own research. Keep up to date with what is happening if you can. Take breaks if you need to, but you got to get back to it. We can't just let this be, oh, I'm tired, I'm done, and that's it. That can't be it. That cannot be it. We have to make sure that the things that we're doing are helping the people who are not getting help. They are not getting the help that they need. And that's because they are besieged. That's because there's no access to them. That's because they have no access to the outside. And that's all because of a settler, colonial, oppressive-ass government that went and imposed this whole thing on them. So please, at least if you do anything, look up the history of Palestine. Look up the history. Look up what Nakba means. Nakba. Nakba. Look up what that word means. If you guys, during the course of this video, if you guys want to tip me, please donate all of that money and then some to an organization of your choice. Make sure that you look and see that where the money goes is exactly where you want it to go, but please donate anything that you can and then some if you can. We have to do something to help the people who are not getting help. There's no access for women's hygienic products. There's no access to those. There's no access to, of course, clean water to bathe. I mean, people are laying dead and decomposing in the streets. Can you imagine what that would feel like to be walking through that every day? To try to find anything to eat, to try to find some water to drink. I say it again. We never think about it, about what we would do in these situations, and I swear so many of us would just fold. The second something happens, we would just fold. But people in the West are used to their privileged lives that they don't have to deal with any of that. They have a bathroom to go to. They have a bed to lay down in. They have lights all over and a roof over their head. It's a privileged life. Having a fridge that is plugged in and has power, that's a privilege. Hopefully it has food in it. But that's the other thing too. In this country, they already criminalized homelessness. Rent prices going up. Wages are all staying the same. Manufactured inflation is skyrocketing. But homelessness is criminalized. Wearing masks is criminalized. I know I need to do better with the masks, but I mean, the fact that these are being criminalized, these things to help people, well, homelessness doesn't help anybody, but you're going to criminalize something that is an actual barrier for health issues. You're going to criminalize that. Or even if it's cold outside, you can't wear a ski mask. Fine, that's not everywhere all over the country, but we have cop cities all over the country. What do you think is going to happen? And I think the craziest part about all of this is the fact that there are still so many people who see the signs, who see what's going on, who see all of it, and who still act like it's just far away and it's never going to touch them. What do y'all think these weapons are going to be used for? What do you think they're testing them for in the West Bank? What do you think they're testing these weapons for? Doctors have been saying since the beginning of this, on October 7th, not the beginning, but like the beginning of this onslaught, that there's been new weapons that have been being used in Gaza and in the West Bank. People going into hospitals with injuries that they've never seen, like that doctors have never seen. Going into hospitals with limbs missing in weird, wild ways, not blown off, but sliced off. Things that they would never see in civilian injuries. Because those bombs don't go to civilian places. But then there's also these, I got a little sidetracked, I apologize, but with the new injuries and stuff, those are new weapons that are being tested. Just please put the dots together. All of the answers are there, but you have to do some of the work too. Anyway, with all of that being said, I am going to get incense going really quick, and yes. Today we will be using the Marigold Tarot. Gorgeous deck. Gorgeous. But yeah. If you guys would like to breathe with me, let's breathe. Otherwise, go ahead and skip ahead to the reading, and yeah. So if you guys would like to breathe with me, go ahead and put your hands flat down in your on the table in front of you or flat down in your lap. Go ahead and put your feet flat down on the floor and sit straight up. We're going to take deep breaths in through our nose and out through our mouths. About a count of 4 each, and no holding. We're just gonna, breathe, and that's it. But if you need to breathe faster or slower or whatever you need to do, go ahead and do that. Don't hurt yourself. Yeah. I think that was everything. All right. So if you guys are ready, go ahead and close your eyes, and we'll get started. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Last one. Out. Go ahead and breathe normally here for a minute, keeping your eyes closed. We're just going to stretch out and release any tension from the top of our heads all the way down to our toes. So I like to do neck rolls. You can do whatever you need to. I'm just saying what usually need to do. So I like doing neck rolls, both directions. Really trying to stretch out a little bit. Not doing too much, you don't want to hurt yourself, but definitely stretching a little bit. And then I like to do some shoulder rolls, both directions. My shoulders and neck are always pretty tight. Switch directions if you're following me. And then I like to shake out my hands and my arms, just down by my sides. And then I like to shake out my legs too. Alright. Take one more deep breath in. And out. Go ahead and breathe normally and open your eyes slowly. Alright guys, so if you guys are ready, or if you guys need more time, go ahead and pause it now, otherwise we are getting it started. But yeah, so like I said, today we're going to use the Marigold Tarot. Today is February 26th, as I'm filming, so we're going to do a check-in for the end of February. I think that'll be good. But yeah. What is our message for the end of February? First card is the Strength card. Ace of Wands. Okay, and the Emperor. Yeah, okay. This, yeah. Good timing for the Emperor to come in right before March. Not to minimize Pisces season, but Aries season is coming up on the, what is that, March 21st? The spring equinox. So it's just funny that you get that for the end of February, because that is coming up. But happy Pisces season. It will be Pisces season for, another couple weeks. I know it's been a couple weeks already. But yeah. It definitely, this definitely feels like you're really getting the courage to create something that's really going to be beneficial, and it's going to add a lot of stability for you. It feels like you're finally coming to terms with what actually needs to be done, not just what you want to do. And with the Ace of Wands, creation, you're finally, the Ace of Wands has come out, and I think this is either the third or the fourth one in a row that the Ace of Wands has come out. I mean, it's Nothing feels, yeah, the chariot just flipped over. There's motion happening. There's not, it might feel like you're stuck, but that's because you're trying to get the energy together to effectively, like spirit's trying to help, source, spirit, the universe, God, insert name here. They're trying to facilitate how best to get you to where you want to go, right? So when we start actually claiming that, that's when it might feel like we're kind of stagnated, not snagged, stagnated in wherever we are. But in reality, it's really that the behind the scenes, everything's actually moving really fast. You know what I mean? Like behind the scenes, everything's like working overtime to like really try to make it happen. Like I used to do theater, so it always amazed me how many people were always working backstage to make a show happen on stage. And it's kind of like the same thing here. Like while you're out performing on stage, there's all these people backstage pulling the ropes for the curtains, aiming the spotlights. There's a guy up in the booth playing the sounds. There's some guy over here. He's just following along, talking on a mic. Like there's all these different people doing all these different jobs. There's a set designer who has, you know, trying to fix stuff really quick. There's a costume designer trying to get everybody in and out of their costumes. There's somebody doing hair and makeup. There's somebody, you know, over in the corner crying. There's somebody like there's so much going on. You know what I mean? And while on stage, there's some guy in the middle of the stage just calmly singing about his magical carnivorous flower that wants to eat him. Anyway. Little Shop of Horrors is a really good show. I don't know why that was the first one that popped into my mind, but that is a really good show. But anyway, point is that this is definitely like it's definitely this feeling of like, okay, with coming up on spring right now, like we're coming up on spring. It's about, you know, it's about a month away. You know, it's just under a month away ish. With spring coming, with the astrological new year coming, that marks the time where we start seeing stuff start to bloom a lot more. You know, I'm sure stuff has started to bloom already, but it usually does around now anyway, a little bit. You know, like the super early spring, super late winter, you know, little flowers and stuff. You know, the first things that pop out. But I mean, like the, you know, in the spring is when we, like at the beginning of the spring is when we start seeing like the actual flowers start to pop up, like the, you know, like the normal stuff that we see throughout the spring and the summer. There's also like this feeling of like butting heads with somebody, whether that's with yourself, like trying to, you know, push aside and kind of like have like a rebirth kind of thing, or whether that's like somebody physically. Like it's almost like there's like a kind of like clash, but not like a clash like you guys are just fighting. It's almost like you guys are just butting heads. Nothing like, it's nothing crazy, you know what I mean? But it's also, it really, to me, it really feels like you're butting heads with yourself, in the sense of you're trying to move forward and advance, but something from your past and like you from your past is trying to not let go. Judgment reversed. just came out. Yeah, and there's almost like a weakness. Not like a weakness. It could be that there's somebody who triggers you, who, something like that. Excuse me, burp for confirmation. Like, who keeps trying to come back, who keeps trying to tell you, like, oh, I'm the one, you know, like, but deep down you know, and I don't know for sure, this is just the example that's coming up to mind. Take what resonates and leave what does not. This is a general collective reading. You know, we all have those people who keep coming back from our past who are like, you know, I'm the one. I'm here for you. I'm supposed to be here. And it's like, okay, but then why weren't you here before? Or like, why didn't, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you're finally figuring out how to get past that without, like, just setting the world on fire. You know what I mean? You're trying to do it in a calm, collected, healthy way that doesn't cause, like, just damage. You know what I mean? Like, because while, you know, and yes, by all means, once you're off the bridge, burn the bridge. But, like, my point being is that, like, don't burn a bridge with you still on it. Don't burn a building with you still inside. Because then what happens when it collapses? Where are you gonna be? With the 4 major arcana cards coming out already and the 1 ace, there's no way to say that you aren't being guided or helped divine. The Hierophant. There's no way to say that you're not being helped divinely. So it's almost like this feeling, or this kind of moment of like, or like sitting with yourself, just being like, okay, did you meditate today? Did you eat some good food? Did you have a conversation with your ancestors? What did you do today? Like, did you do anything to actually help yourself? Knight of Rings, Pentacles. Did you do anything to help yourself? Did you do anything to advance any of this stuff? Like, what did you do today to get closer to where you want to be anyway? Yes, Spirit will help you, Source, God, the universe. Yes, your guides will help you. That's great. But there's only so far that they can get you before you have to level up first. You know what I mean? It's like getting to, in a video game, it's like getting to a spot on the map that's, I almost said part. It's a spot on the map that you just like can't access yet until you're level 48. You just gotta level up a little bit before you can advance more. You know what I mean? Then we got the 4 of Cups. And it almost feels like, yeah, it almost feels like for a while you had this like aversion to this work. And it might have been because like you didn't want to let people go, you didn't want to stop doing certain things, you know, fill in the blank. But you know, and what's life without a little adversity? You know what I mean? You have to, it's always about the duality of life. You're always going to have to feel the struggle to be able to appreciate the privileges and the luxuries of life. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just, and there are people who do, but there are also a ton of people who, when they're born into this situation, they also end up struggling anyway. Like, with something. It might not be that they're born into money and they just end up spending all their money. That does happen. But there's people too who struggle on different levels in different ways that aren't necessarily money wise, or like, you know, we see it all the time in movies where the parents of those kids who have a ton of money are never around. And if they have a babysitter or a nanny, the nanny is basically their parent. And that kid is always upset about why their parents are never around. You know what I mean? Like, that's, it almost feels like that's kind of like the case. But this is also definitely like this moment of like, okay, so like, are you going to let it mess you up the whole time? Or are you going to let it, are you going to let it trigger you the whole time? Or are you going to try to move past it and try to give yourself some of the love that you tried to get in the first place? Because you, like, with this change, and I'm thinking this is kind of playing off my last video where the Tower card and the Death card both came out. I'm thinking that's what this is about, because there was a lot of death and rebirth in that video. So this almost feels like that it could be that you're like doubting almost like if you need to have a death and rebirth, but it's almost like this feeling of it's already started. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Lover's reversed. There's something that needs to be recalibrated. You know, Judgment came out reversed as well. The Lovers is about, you know, that balance between, in a relationship, well, okay, simply put. And it could just be that these old emotions, feelings, whatever you know, old habits, whatever it is, it's just that these would lead you to failure. It's not that, you know, everything, it's not necessarily that everything in your life is toxic, is my point. It's that sometimes this change just needs to happen because we're just not the same person that we were before. And if we want to do what we want to do now, we're going to have to change the direction that we're walking, because this way is probably not the same direction that, excuse me, birth confirmation, this way is probably not the same direction that we want to go. Excuse me. Especially if we've been walking this way for, you know, if we've been walking down this path for 4 or 5 years, you know, if we're like actively trying to change ourselves, why wouldn't our path change a little bit? 808, as I said that. Why wouldn't our path change a little bit? You know what I mean? The Magician just came out. You have all of the tools that you need to do this. And it might be that it's a little bit, it might be that it's a little bit scary, and it's a little bit like, you know, you don't know what's going to happen. It's understandable to be a little bit worried and nervous about what's going to happen in the future, because obviously we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But what we can do is try to be hopeful for the best of what could happen in the future. A lot of the time we get so worked up and scared about what's going to happen that we end up manifesting that oh so terrible thing that we didn't want to have happen. We get so worked up and scared over it that that's what all of our energy went into, so that's what the universe provided for us. You know, the Nine of Wands reversed came out. And of course, as always, there's always going to be, like I said, adversity is going to come up. There's always going to be circumstances that don't look the best. But even when we have, like with the Magician, even if we have, like, okay, think of the Magician as like a carpenter or like a construction worker, right? He has a tool bag, right? Or like at least say like a tool belt or something. You know what I mean? He has a hammer, he has a drill, he has a, you know, a tape measure, a level, you know, all these different things. But, you know, one day he needs something that's, you know, not in his truck. He doesn't have it up in the job that he's at. You know, so he uses another tool that's similar to it or that can just work the same way. You know what I mean? It's not as good of an explanation as I thought it was going to be, but it's really just like, even though you may not have the specific tool that you think that you need, you might have another, you probably have access to another tool that can still work for what you need to do. And even though we face this adversity, we obviously don't like to deal with adversity, but again, it helps teach us the balance of life. We have to deal with these negative things in order to, you know, we have to go through a rainy day in order to appreciate the sunlight. You know what I mean? Hot and cold, good and bad, you know, that's the kind of thing. The Hanged Man reversed just came out. And once you start to release these things, you'll notice that it will probably feel like weights are coming off of you, because the things that are binding you to not getting to where you want to be, or, you know, whatever else it is, the things that are binding you to the past, to the negativity, to whatever it is, those things are coming off of you because you're finally letting them go and like trying to actually heal from them. Five of Wands. The Five of Wands tends to be about, like, you know, competition, but it's also like just extravagant, opulent, gold, like, just, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, that's the kind of energy. So like, it feels like that's the kind of energy that you're moving into, like this like beautiful, like new you that maybe even you didn't believe that could exist. But once you start dropping all of these things that no longer serve you, you get to only focus on the things that do serve you and that help you. So of course you'd be working better, and you'd be, you know, 333 as I say this. Of course you'd be like working better, and like in your head you're like not putting yourself down as much, or, you know, like actually able to put your energy towards whatever it is that you've been thinking about. Sorry, my shoulder needs to stretch. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. Got the sun. Yeah. Talk about gold opulence. I mean, you got to keep shining. Once you shine your light and like truly appreciate yourself for the light that you do shine, what is going to stop you? who is going to stop you? If y'all have seen, because of course, but it's Escanor from the Seven Deadly Sins, when he's like, who decided that? Like, when you stand in your power, that is literally you when other people try to take you down and tear you down and do whatever the fuck they do. That's exactly how people respond. It's like, okay, who the fuck decided that, though? And you're a bitch. So, there we go. The Queen of Cups came out, as well as the Seven of Wands on the bottom of the deck. But once we are really truly able to stand in our own power and really stand with ourselves and show ourselves that we love ourselves and can stand in that power, one, we show ourselves that we trust ourselves, but two, we get to show the world that no matter what happens to us, we would rather be ourselves than deal with any of the other bullshit. We would much rather be ourselves than put on a fake 555, than put on a fake facade of who we think we should be. At this point, it's 2024. We know that we shouldn't have to put on a fake, on a mask to have to get friends or to have to talk to people. We should be able to be our weird, quirky, fun little selves and not have to worry about people being like, oh, that weirdo's over there. As long as you're, like, actively, like, fighting for what you want and for who you want to be and, like, truly love that in yourself because you love yourself and you want to see yourself succeed just as much as you would want to see your best friend succeed or whoever, your favorite celebrity, whatever. But, you know, because at this point we can't risk doing any of the extra stuff. You know what I mean? We can't risk losing any of it. Especially when it is meant for us. We got to put the work in to keep that stuff. Even though we're releasing a whole bunch of other stuff, we got to make space for the stuff that's coming in that needs to help us next. You know what I mean? And even if it's stuff that wasn't necessarily toxic, that wasn't necessarily a negative thing, sometimes those things are also things that need to move along and get released because, you know, they might still be working for you, they might still be helping, but they're not what's going to be the right thing for the next couple of steps that you need to take, if that makes sense. But I mean, again, you're laying a groundwork for actual real stability. It's not going to be this shaky foundation that didn't actually let you build anything. It's going to be, you are going to be able to create. The divine will be the ones helping you create. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Let's do our pride message really quick. And then we'll get our swearing affirmation as well. Do two more. Okay. Okay. Cool. So we got, oops. Hope. Even the darkest of nights are followed by a swift sunrise. You might not have all the answers in front of you right now, but a healthy distraction through work or play can help pass the time. Yeah. Queer AF. We got truth. Being true to who you are is the best gift you can give to yourself. You don't need to live a life that has been dictated for you by others. Sculpt a path that feels right for you. Yeah. Yeah. Let me just read this one really quick. Courage. This says courage too. The road will be long, hard, and occasionally ugly. Facing your fears is part of the journey, and if you time it right, it can take you to higher places within yourself and beyond. Because again, once you have the courage to be open and live your truth, you'll attract people who do the same exact thing and who their last thought would be something negative about you. You know what I mean? That's not to say that everybody coming into your life will be like that, because there will be people who come in to, because they see that you're healed, they want to heal, or they just want some help, or whatever it is. But there will be people who come in who will be for you, trying to help, only trying to help, not trying to go against you, none of that stuff. Because they see the authenticity in you, and they're like, that person's cool. I like being my authentic self. Oh, cool. Let's be friends. And then, yay, we're friends. Anyway. No, but seriously, let's grab the, I'm going to grab the sweary affirmation really quick. And, yeah. All right. Jared, what is our sweary affirmation for today? Okay. Yep. Get up and show the world that you're a fucking legend. That's what I'm talking about. For real. I mean, who doesn't want to be friends with a fucking legend? I mean, come on. No, but seriously. I think this is a great way to end the month. I think this is a beautiful way to... This is some really good energy. Like, this is some really high... This is some good energy. And it's like it's a lot of high energy, but it's a very like calming, relaxed. It's not like high energy and heavy. It's just like high energy and it's just there. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of stuff just going on. Yep. Same thing as before. Just a lot of stuff happening at once. A lot of different things going on. But yeah. Just keep listening to... Trust yourself first. And keep listening to your intuition. Because whatever your intuition is telling you... that at least you should be able to, you will be able to trust. Yeah. Just don't doubt yourself. Don't do anything that, you know, your guides would tell you not to do. You know what I mean? Like, just do your best. If there's something that makes you uncomfortable, growth isn't going to happen when we're comfortable. It's just going to have to be that at some point we're uncomfortable. That's just what it is. But keep going. Build that stability. Get that stability up and get a good groundwork to start creating. But with that, that is all I am seeing for you guys today. I am closing out this reading, so thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Yeah, I really do appreciate you guys for being here. Let me know if this reading resonated or if it didn't. Just be nice. But regardless, anyway, free Palestine, free everybody, free Sudan, free the Democratic Republic of Congo, free Tigray, free Haiti, free Hawaii, free Puerto Rico, free Kurdistan, free Waziristan, free everybody. We will never be free until we are all free. Yemen, Syria, we will never be free until we are all free. Anyway, I love y'all. Y'all be safe. Have the day that y'all deserve, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.